Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome to our next webinar in the REI Master Series. For those of you who don't know me or haven't met me, my name is Kelly and I'm the Business Development Manager here at REI Master. Today's webinar will run for approximately 1 hour with some time for Q&A at the end. So if you do have questions throughout the webinar, please just put them through the chat panel on the side. So now I'm going to hand you over, to Kim and Naomi from Koncept Konnect to hear about the 5 steps for communicating to create direct bookers for your business. Over to you, girls.
Good morning. I'm Kim from Koncept Konnect and Naomi from Koncept Konnect. Hello again, and we hope we're finding you all well and surviving through this wonderful situation we're in, this crazy pandemic. Anyway, we're just going to have a chat to you about direct bookers and direct communications and how direct business is really the gold dust of your business currently, even more so now, to try and find that little bit of an edge over your competitors. And it's going to be a very competitive market moving forward in the short term.
It is.
With large supply of everybody sort of vying for domestic travel, and obviously very much orientated towards the leisure and travelling family and friends. So this webinar is going to be sort of pretty well focused around that, and some tips and tricks and information that may help you find that little bit of an edge to get that direct booker.
I guess there's no one real way to do it.
No.
You've just got to add and subtract all the bits and pieces to fit your business.
Yeah. So we've just sort of broken it down into 5 steps, or top tips. So not 5 steps, but our 5 top tips. And the first one we're going to run through is just who are you chasing, and just a little bit about your data and how to know your guest. The second one is how to introduce yourself to that guest that comes to your property or your
Make
business.
it personal.
Make it personal.
Make it personal. Yeah.
How to surprise and delight those customers for life, so that they keep coming back to you for every time they come to the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast or to Brisbane. They'll think of you first. Step 4, got to hide from this one. That's the elephant in the room, a little bit about COVID and what you need to tell your guests about that. And then step 5, the afterglow, and how to stay on your guest's radar. I just was trying to read what it was. So that's it. So on to slide 1. So step 1. So who are you chasing? So to be able to reach your perfect customer, you first have to know who they are. It's just so important to make sure you're recording your data and the information from those guests. I know we've gone through this on several occasions on most of our PowerPoints. We sort of do hammer it in a little bit, but it's very important that you understand the importance, and also too that your front office staff understand the importance of why they need to record this data for your records and to get that from the guests when they check in.
I think that's important too, Kim, because quite often we go into properties to help out and support the company itself, and we ask who their customer is, and they tell us that it's 20 to 28-year-olds, couples travelling, and when we actually go through their data, it's family groups with little kids. So you really have to be on top of who that person actually is.
Who that person is, where do they come from, or the source of where they're coming from, which is fairly narrowed down at this point in time. But in our previous world, and we'll come back to that at some point in time next year probably, is understanding whether they're travelling for business, or whether they're travelling for leisure, or they're travelling for an event, or they're travelling for a wedding, or whatever, or they regular travellers for weekend escapes with their family.
Do they arrive in their own car, or are they in a hire car?
Sporting groups, all that type of thing. So that's why those sort of bullet points we've put down this slide is really important to find out that bit of information. But that is actually why that you need to, or how you need to grab that. So source, your demographics, your addresses.
Your really big one there is your email address, because as you would all know, a lot of people are coming through at the moment on your OTAs, whether it be Booking.com, Expedia, Agoda, any of the number that are out there chasing your guest. They will have a generic email address in that booking, And if you try to send anything back via that email address, it will actually get redacted. If you've put anything about contacting you direct, anything about your own specials, those big OTAs will actually redact that information. So it's really, really important that you get your front office staff to get their personal email addresses.
Yes, and get your front office, make sure your front office staff know why you're doing it, because a lot of them will think, oh, it's okay.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, I haven't got time.
So it's really important to, if you've got staff, paid staff, and your reception, to get them to understand why you're doing that. So, you know, obviously in this slide, we're just talking about, you know, it obviously takes 80% more time to find a new guest than it does to keep an existing guest. So that's why you need to know who you're actually chasing. How do you sort of really drill down your marketing strategy to who your guests are? I know in REI you can set compulsory fields in the PMS system, so that when you're, and you can set that obviously, especially good if you've got staff in your front office, so that they and you know, they have to have those entry fields filled in and completed, so that you can actually set what's important to you in that frame. You know, deciding what you want to put in there.
The other place to look for this information is in your channel manager. So, sorry, channel manager and your OTAs. So your channel manager will give you quite a bit of information about which OTAs you're selling the most through. Then go to that OTA, be it booking.com, Expedia, whoever, and have a look at their insights. So you do this on the extranet, and if you need some help, by all means reach out or hire someone who can help you if you don't know how to get around it, or ask your market manager from the OTA. You're paying, you know, 15% commission, so make them work for it. But they, seriously, out of all of the OTAs, Expedia carries the most amazing amount of data on your guest. So it will also tell you who you're losing bookings to, and I love to use that one because a lot of our clients have no idea. They think they know who their competitors are, but when I tell them who they're actually losing bookings to, they're flabbergasted sometimes. So we can take a look at how we're marketing compared to those places we're actually losing bookings to. So don't assume that you know, actually find the data and make sure that you're actually really drilling down to exactly where those guests are coming from.
Yeah, look, it's really important to understand that there is actually software out there that can help you that you don't have to pay for, basically. As Naomi just said, your OTAs, obviously recording it within your PMS system is another good area.
Yeah.
STR is another area that if you actually, you know, that's free of charge as well, just for your basic entry level, and it sets you a benchmark on your ADRs and your occupancy and your what else does it do on that benchmark one?
Benchmarks just due to ADR, occupancy, RevPAR. Yeah,
those three things. I think.
Facebook, there's another place to get amazing data, and that data will actually drill down to demographics, age groups, addresses, who's looking at you. Now, there is a caveat here. You actually have to have a certain amount of followers on Facebook before Facebook will give you that information. So again, talk to a professional if you're not quite sure how to do it yourself. But Facebook and Instagram, any social media, they've got the whole world's data at their fingertips. So why shouldn't you get a part of that too?
Yeah. I'll go to the next slides probably. So we're still on how now we're on to how to introduce yourself. So basically, your methods of contact and your response is very important when a guest arrives in-house to your property, your business, your hotel. You know, your customer service, I was just saying to Naomi, you know, I mean, it's always been very important, but I think more so now customer service is going to be more important than ever post-COVID. I think it's definitely a more competitive market out there, especially at the moment when we're close to international. But I think that one of those points of difference is your customer service and how you treat that guest. I mean, it's going to be price point and what services you offer and all that type of thing as well. But the customer service is actually going to have your guest coming back to you. Just an example, you know, I went to a restaurant last week and you know, the food was great, but the customer service was not that great. It was lacking and it was very slow and that type of thing. And in a competitive world, there's lots of choices of restaurants to go to. And if your customer service is pretty ordinary, then you can have second thoughts about going back to that specific restaurant. And the same applies with accommodation hotels, strata, whatever you're in, that guest is going to have second thoughts of coming back if your customer service isn't the best it can be.
But the customer service starts from the moment they start thinking about their holiday.
Yes.
So we all know that we all live in a world of instant gratification. You know, you put something out on the internet and people respond back to you straight away. You send a text message. How many of us expect a text message straight back? If I call you on the phone, I either want you to pick up the phone straight away or have something that I can leave a message for. No one is very good with patience anymore. So
especially not me.
Patience grasshopper.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, 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 really important that as a customer service provider, which we all are in the accommodation industry, is that you acknowledge your guests straight away. You don't have to necessarily give them the answer straight away, but you need to let them know that you've heard them and you're onto it and you're going to come back to them. So, for instance, they might send you a message via Facebook, via booking.com, via your own emails. They might ring you. We understand that at the moment, particularly, you might just be two people running your entire operation and you can't always be there for that phone call. Set up an answering service. Make sure you return that phone call. Are they sending you, do you have a text message set up? Do you offer a mobile phone service? Text them back or set up something that will automatically text them back so that you acknowledge that you've done that. Emails. It is so easy to set up a return email template that's welcoming, it acknowledges them, and they don't just think that their email's gone off into a big black hole. The big one with the OTAs is you think, oh, well, you know, that's not my customer, it's Booking.com's customer. They also, Booking.com and Expedia and Agoda, allow you to set up a template in the extranet that the minute a booking comes to your PMS, it will shoot an email back out to them to say, hey, thanks for your booking. Here's some interesting things you might not know about our property or the area. We can help you book some restaurants, or we've got a really good relationship with the man who hires out kayaks down the road. Capture that customer from the first moment they reach out to you. And I think that is really, really important because people just don't wait anymore. No. They just don't wait. They have no patience. And if you're not answering them, they've already moved on to the next place to book.
Yeah, and as we said, there's opportunities within frameworks for software. Like, you know, it's easy to set up email templates and it's not an expensive issue. Even within REI, you've got,
Absolutely.
You know, you can do your SMS messages to in-house guests or when they leave. You've got opportunity to do that. As Naomi said, you can do it through your OTAs. You can do it with Facebook as well.
Allows you to do it.
So there's opportunity there to actually do this without a great expense involved, or minimal expense or none.
Once they start talking to you, there's already a little bit of loyalty there. Yeah. So that if they've got 3 properties they're looking at booking, if you're the only one that's answered them, they might feel, oh, well, that person's already acknowledged me. I'm going to go and stay there because I haven't heard anything from the other 2, although one might have looked better in the pictures. So take every opportunity you get to try and capture that customer.
Like the next slide will say, you know, 63% of customers will leave a company or you know, a restaurant or an accommodation property just after one poor experience or customer service, which is what I just mentioned in regard to the restaurant that I went to. So, I mean, you know, and people don't want to wait, you know, and even more so in these times, people don't want to wait, and their expectations are probably a little bit higher than they have been in the past because of the current environment. So there's a bit more pressure on you to provide that little bit higher enchilada of service that you can.
Yeah, because they don't understand that you're busy. They don't care. All they care about is themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Why haven't you answered me? And why haven't you taken my booking? And I sent you an email about how do I park my car. Just get back to them. Acknowledge them. If nothing else, acknowledge the fact that you know they're asking a question. Yeah, really important.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the pre-arrival templates that can be set up by the create send templates we do, they can offer a really nice pre-entry or pre-arrival information, whether it's once again about parking your car, about reception hours, about things to do, about you know, what's in their room, you know, and what services that they can expect, you know, anything. There's a pile of things you can put in there, and it might even be a little bit about upselling as well, whether it's selling prior tours and attractions or
room upgrades,
extra nights, that type of thing as well is very easy to put into these templates as well. You know, just capture that customer and own them. Another really important component, which I know you can record in REI as well, is understand special events and how to look after those people that come in maybe for a wedding, or, you know, they've stayed with you 4 times, or you might have a little benchmark. It's their 3rd time they get a box of chocolates, or
Acknowledge them.
Acknowledge
Make them feel
them.
special, yeah.
You know, they might be coming, you know, for a wedding, or, you know, maybe just a nice little basket in the room, or a welcome pack might be a really
Probably
nice
moves
touch.
us on to surprise and delight, I would think.
Oh, if I jumped. Oh, I have jumped again. Yeah, fancy that. Fancy that. So yes, it's sort of rolled in. It's all rolled in, hasn't it? Really. Yeah, you just can't. Once your guests arrive, you can't just basically set and forget. You know, the guest as well as your tariffs. You know, everybody's the same. You can't set and forget your rates as well these days. Well, your in-house guest is just the same. You can't sort of forget about them once they're in-house. So they need to remember you, and you need to remember them for the right reasons. In a nutshell, I think, Naomi, is what I'm saying, and just those little things can be really important. You know, you might set up have a little welcome pack for anyone that's a return guest, and it might be just you know, like a couple of chocolates and some sun cream and a discount voucher to a restaurant, something like that. That's to me, I'd really like to get something like that if I came in, arrived somewhere and went, oh, thanks, you're great, you've stayed here before, here's your little welcome pack, and you know,
absolutely,
you've got something that's a little bit, you know, different, or discount rates. You might not necessarily use it, but it's just a nice thought.
I think sometimes we all need a reminder that we actually work in the hospitality industry, not the accommodation industry.
Yes.
So, you know, make people feel welcome. Yes, you're just having an ordinary day, and it's whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but they're arriving on a holiday. This is, for some people, this is the only holiday they might have had in years, or they might have saved for a long time to do it, or it might be a special occasion. So for you to just treat it as a normal work day as they arrive, it kind of takes a little bit of the air out of their tires. So yeah, just keep thinking, I'm in the hospitality industry, not the accommodation industry. And another really big thing that I find very helpful, and both my husband and I are hoteliers from way back, is stay in one of your rooms occasionally.
Oh, totally.
Like really, especially if you've had a lot of feedback about certain things in your rooms, it's easy for us to go, oh, they're clean, and I only use the best bedding. We bought the best beds on the market 12 years ago. You know, we've just put pillows in the room. Well, actually, that was 3 years ago. Go and stay a night in one of your rooms.
I just set up an example here. I actually recently stayed at a property further north, and they had 2 different room types, and one was stair access only, and the other was lift, right? And they're both in the same room category and the same price point, right? And they've been starting to get a lot of complaints about the apartments with the walk up with the stairs. So I actually stayed in that one of them a couple of weeks ago, right? The first couple of nights was fine. I'm thinking, you know, this is fine. There's really not much to complain about here because the apartments are big, beautiful, great views. The third night, somebody arrived in about 11 o'clock at night and were in the apartment above me, and proceeded to bang their cases all the way up the 3 levels of stairs past where I'm above my room, and then and you know, up and down the stairwell door, which was banging and closing. And I mean, that's not an everyday occurrence. And obviously a lot of people don't come in late when you're in bed. I thought it was, I didn't know what was happening. I thought there was some sort of earthquake going on. It sort of woke me up with the noise and the scraping of the furniture above it.
But whatever. If you'd been in a room where the lifts were,
I wouldn't have noticed.
You wouldn't have heard it. So should there be a price differentiation
correct,
there? Which
is what we've adjusted back down. So we've now suggested that they differentiate their room categories and differentiate their price point, which I think's a fair call. Yeah, but I wouldn't have realised that until I'd actually gone and stayed in one.
That's right.
Thinking, what's the point? It's just 2 flights of stairs. But
and I think it's also setting the expectations and meeting those expectations. So if 2 families checked into that property together and one got a room in the lift area and the other got a room in the stairwell area, and they've both paid the same amount of money,
correct.
Who do you think is going to be the happiest camper?
Yeah.
Not the people that stayed in the stair, in the walk-up section.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to be really mindful of there too is to be accessible. So just because you go home at 4 o'clock, the guest needs to be able to get a reaction out of someone if something is wrong. And yes, we all know there's people out there who will moan and groan and whinge about anything. I said, but your guest that actually has a real issue at 11 o'clock at night, they need to be able to contact somebody. And it's really important that you either do that, you can set it up via social media, you might give them a number to text so that before you ring, you can see what is actually wrong. Because if you don't answer that query at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm not suggesting you have to answer every query, but if you don't give them somewhere to put that information as it happens to them, who do you think, what's the next step they're going to take?
Grizzle.
TripAdvisor, Facebook. You know, the old adage used to be for every good experience, someone will tell one other person. For every bad experience, they'll tell 7 other people. Today with social media, they have a bad experience and suddenly the whole world knows. And it's really something you don't want to go viral about, and not all good marketing is good marketing.
That's
publicity
right.
is not all good publicity.
And that goes back to our next component about accepting feedback well. So, you know, negative and positive, because you're going to get both and you can't keep everybody happy.
No, you can't.
Really. So it's really just a matter of trying to put out fires when they happen, as they do, which is, and look at another little thing that I used to do years ago was putting in a checkout or a departure letter. If some people don't like complaining about things or making statements face to face or whatever, and that's just another, you know, maybe thing that might work for you. And on that letter is information about checkout times, etc., etc. But there's also areas to put in if there's globes out in the kitchen, or the PowerPoint's not working, or the fridge makes a noise and that type of thing. So it's actually gives the guest opportunity to provide that feedback and for you to obviously action those, because you can't stay in every room and understand what's wrong in every apartment as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a nice little thing to try and include.
And just something we did with one of our clients a year or two ago is they were getting a lot of negative feedback. It was a strata titled property, so owners weren't putting money into rooms, which I'm sure is a very common theme among people who are listening to us today. So that was a real problem in itself, and they were getting on TripAdvisor and Facebook and Booking.com and Expedia and leaving terrible reviews, which was really affecting forward occupancy. So what we did is we set up a post-stay newsletter or EDM, and it would go out to them after their stay, and it actually had on it, because a lot of the time on those you get, oh, please hop on TripAdvisor and tell us about your stay. Instead of that, we actually had a link that emailed back to the property to say, please tell us if there was anything wrong with your stay. And we got some great feedback. It also allowed us to collate that feedback and present it to the owners of that particular room, if it was always the same room. And it actually managed to get some money spent. And lo and behold, we got better ratings on all of the review sites and occupancy picked up. So there's lots of little ways you can fix things.
Yeah, depending on the current situation of the property. Yeah. But just even tiering room categories helps too with that issues that you might come across.
Correct. Put those owners into a budget category till they do something about the room.
Yep.
Again, it's expectations of your guest. So, and that is the surprise and delight of your guest. If they think they've booked a budget room and they get there and it's not quite as budget as they thought, they'll be thrilled.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've sold it to them as a standard room or something better than a standard room, they're not going to be surprised and delighted at all.
No. What else are there? We've got the next slide for surprising and delighting more people. What else can we figure out?
Marketing while they're in the house. Yes.
While they're in-house, as we said, this can be done via text through REI as well. Like, you know,
a sign in a lift.
A sign in a lift's really good. I mean, it sounds very basic, but offering a $90 extra night for in-house guests, as an example, works wonders with some properties.
Sundays. If you are a Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, Port Douglas, Far North Queensland, and most of your customer base leaves on a Sunday morning, you really don't want to pay your housekeepers because they're going to cost you a fortune on a Sunday. So you're just going to leave those rooms empty and dirty anyway. Offer them $99 for the use of the room again for one night. Really, it's costing you nothing and you're pocketing $99.
I mean, you can also, signs and lifts work really well, but also try and upsell on check-in, I think is a really good thing too, especially if they're only majority of your stays at this point in time, especially at 2 or 3 nights, which we're finding in most of our properties, bar school holidays. And I think it's you know, even if those guests use the room until 6 o'clock that night, you know, they still may pay $99 to be able to have the day at the beach or go and do something and have a shower and then head back home to Brisbane
after the traffic
or whatever. So always offer that as an option. I think it is easy. Just once again, it comes down, which we've spoken about, to your front office training and your front office staff training, because a lot of that first impression and the surprise and delight and the introduction to the guests comes from your front office. So, which I think we've touched on in previous PowerPoints, but I can't instill how important that is from a presentation as well as an upselling. And touching on that, the presentation of your front office, if you've got staff in there, is really important, whether they wear nice shirts or have a dress code based around that. Always think when you walk into your first impressions of a reservation or reception area is really important, you know.
Clean and tidy.
Clean and tidy.
Smells nice. Smells nice. Seems really simple, but you'd be amazed at the amount of front offices you walk into that you go, oh, cleaning fluids or hasn't cleaned enough.
Yeah. I mean, and music too is quite nice to have in music, like pipe music or something in the reception area. Some, you know, make it comfortable, you know, maybe comfortable chairs, that type of thing around. So I think that coming back to that surprise and delight, we can't sort of insist on the importance of your front office staff. And that comes back to you as owners and managers to make sure that they're trained properly and there's protocols and there's guidelines in place and an understanding in place for this staff that you've got in-house to understand what result you want for your guests and what sort of service you want your guests to have when they come in.
And we've said here, help your guests make memories. So that's what they're there for. They're there to have a holiday that they want to remember, and you want them to remember that they stayed at your property while they made those really good memories. And the other thing you can do here is use the power of social media to share those memories with everyone. So one of the hotels I worked in a few years ago, it had an on-site restaurant, and outside the restaurant there was a garden bench with a statue of well, it wasn't even a person, it was all these stones put together that made it look like a person sitting on the bench. So we started an Instagram competition that you would sit on the bench, have your photo taken, come up with a name for the statue and silly poses and whatnot, and then they would put it on Instagram and tag the restaurant. What a great way to get our restaurant name out.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden everyone was going, oh, where are these people? Oh, they're at such and such restaurant. So then they go on and we could see the traffic being directed to our website from Instagram posts. So find something quirky, find something beautiful, find a view. Maybe you've got a view that is absolutely amazing. Turn it into a little competition. You don't have to offer, you know, 3 nights accommodation. You might just offer a bottle of wine weekly for the best.
That's right.
For the best photo.
Another client of ours used to have a crab, and like it was a towel, you know, but they just
like on the cruise ships,
you know, they design it like a towel crab, I suppose. Anyway, this crab used to go to lots of different places. So this crab was photographed by the pool, and the crab was photographed at local cafes and down the beach and everything as well. So, like, you know, it was their little icon, I suppose.
Quite the following.
Another property we used to work with had a little yellow duck, like, and the duck used to go everywhere and you'd see the duck photographed. And this is amazing, as Naomi said, you know, on your social media posts, your Instagram, your Facebooks, your whatever, post it out there and set competitions or, you know, around that, you know, maybe the photo of the month with the icon.
We have a client currently who has a Ferrari in their reception area.
That's right.
So we're really encouraging everybody that comes into the reception goes, oh my God, a Ferrari. So I said to her, this is marketing gold. Like, get them in front of the Ferrari, take a selfie and upload it and make sure your name's tagged in it. Like, that's a talking feature, and that's what you have to find around your property. Engage people, and then they're going to share your message.
Yes, and it can be just fun around that. People who do it for fun, they're not necessarily going to post for the sake of it.
No,
if there's a little bit of an encouragement,
what's in it for me
type thing, you know, it might be an extra night. Instead of charging them $99, next time they stay, they get a free night. That might be your price. It doesn't cost you guys anything, and it's you know, they're already in house anyway. So, and it's once again, it's going to surprise and delight that guest.
That's right. So and recommendations. People are really scared of this. They tend to go, oh, a lot of people go down to XYZ. Well, is it where you go? Like, as a local, I want to know where you go, because we all the tourists go isn't necessarily the best deal, the best food, the best ambience. I don't know where you go. So I think a lot of people are scared to tell people in case they're disappointed, but I think it offers something really personal when you go, well, actually my wife and I eat there every Sunday night, or I take my kids to that beach every Thursday morning. It's really, really important that that personal touch is there, because I know I would actually put more credibility into a personal recommendation than I would, oh, all the tourists do that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's
so remember that one. That's a really good.
It's a really good,
really powerful.
It is a powerful tool to use, and once again, it doesn't cost you anything.
No, that's right.
So, okay, step 4.
The elephant in the room.
Post-COVID travel. So we've got to take light of it, because everyone, look, you know, if you're here and you're watching this PowerPoint, good on you, because you still, you know, you got your drive to sort of improve your business, and I can only really say we're going to come out the other end of this, and eventually, but we just have no time frame around that, and it's going to be a little bit different with travelling. I feel post-COVID, people are going to look differently, and we've put some little bullet points down here on what we think is going to be important for that guest coming in-house. So we're talking all this PowerPoint's all about that guest and how to nurture them to be your guest as such. You know, obviously social distancing and cleanliness are very important components, and you probably all got your COVID clean things going on from the government, your guidelines.
Yeah, just make sure you're always checking the government website for updates.
Yes. Yeah. The biggest thing around everything, I think, with this post-COVID and current situation is flexibility, and that's flexibility around your terms and conditions, your tariffs, and your guest. Okay, so you have to be very, very flexible in this climate around all those areas, and to me, that's probably one of the key takeaway, I think.
Absolutely.
And that's going to come across in everything you do, you know, a set of terms and conditions, your tariffs, because that's going to change supply, and your demand's going to change constantly, and the type of demand is going to change constantly as well. You know, it's an unknown. So you have to be on your toes from that side of it. Your guest, you need to be flexible with your guests' arrangements.
And we understand that when they cancel last minute, you're losing money. We all understand that, and they even understand it on some level, but again, we live in a very me-focused society. But, you know, if you're running your business at the sake of saying, no, you can't have your money back to someone, they're never coming back to you.
No, that's right.
They're never coming back to you, because you have already said to them, not interested, I need that money, not interested in what's going on in your life, or that someone's done whatever they've done. So try and be as flexible as you can. There's going to be ones that you know are just taking the mickey, but where you can be as flexible as you can. If you don't want to refund the money, we completely understand that, but go for those other flexible options. So hold a credit for 12 to 18 months.
Yes.
Like, we're not talking credits for 3 months, 6 months. We're talking credits for 12 to 18 months. It will make people feel that they've got options. It will make them feel a little bit more relaxed, and you'll find that they'll come as soon as they can anyway.
They can, because you know you've got that credit there sitting there in that area.
But if you say to them, I'll only hold it for 3 months, well, that's pressure then, and again, you've caused heightened anxiety with them, and again, they're not going to recommend you to anyone else. You say to them, hey, come and use that anytime in the next 18 months, subject to price increases or decreases. They'll go off and tell their friends and go, oh, so-and-so at such and such resort were fantastic. I would, you know, I can use my money for 18 months.
Yeah.
Can they transfer the credit? You know, if I can't go and suddenly I know that my life is about to change, can I give that credit to my friend Kim to use?
Of course you should. Yeah, well, why not?
Why not? Like, seriously, why not? You're still getting the money, someone's still coming to stay with you, and you've created something pleasant out of a horrible situation.
Yeah.
Can it be turned into a gift voucher to be used as a gift? So I can't come, but you know what? I could use that to give to my brother or my mum for Christmas, because they live closer and they'll need a break. So think outside the box. What can you do to turn an unpleasant situation into a winning situation?
Yeah. And I think also too, looking at options yourself around, there's a lot of restaurants, especially in hotels, that are closed still, and you know, there's limitation on some hours and seating and all that type of thing around eating in restaurants. So, like, you know, delivery options and self-catering options, and offering breakfast packs to purchase or things like that. People are going to want to have a little bit of distancing away from crowded situations, especially with families or older, if they've got their
elderly
parents,
people,
because they're obviously more at risk of this horrible virus than anyone else. So, you know, there's that sort of thing to offer. You know, maybe not everyone will take it, but having offerings of, you know, having in-house breakfast packs, that type of thing. I was discussing that with one of our Brisbane properties because she's near the hospital, but a lot of the restaurants in Brisbane City are still closed or have limited time. But she organised to have breakfast packs as options because a lot of people that are currently staying there are going to the hospital, you know, for hospital visits. So, you know, they don't necessarily really want to go out. So, you know, you've got to look at who's staying and what you can do to offer some extra services basically around that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and you can start the Afterglow.
The Afterglow. Okay. Aptly named because you don't want your guests to leave and just forget about you. Because once upon a time in Australian holiday travel, we all travelled to the same place and we stayed at the same place every year and we told all our friends about it. I can see a little bit of that coming back.
Yes.
You know, they know what's safe. So you want someone to remember you, to come back next year, the year after, every 6 months, who knows? But yeah, I think there's a lot to say about people now doing the same regular thing all the time.
Well, I think it comes back to the safety, as you said, but also the trend at the moment seems to be short breaks.
Absolutely.
So I think there's a tendency for people to be wanting to take more regular short breaks than a long, you know, 10-day or 2-week
yes, absolutely.
Travel. So there's a little bit of a change of how people are travelling at the moment.
So once they leave, you need to stay in contact. And that's not to say you should be ringing them every second day asking how their day is going, but probably once a month, follow up EDM. So
no more than that.
No.
I'm a bit like everyone else. I hate getting bombarded with too many emails. I unsubscribe as soon as that happens. So.
And have something to say.
Yes, it's got to be a call to action.
Yeah. So that's your marketing. We've got a special coming up. We know you stayed in December last year, but we've got a great special in September for return guests.
Yes.
Give them a code, make them feel special. As I've said here, an email message is 5 times more likely to be seen than a Facebook personal message or a message in the news feed. And, you know, yes, we all unsubscribe to a lot of things, but if I think there's value in it, I'm happy to see it and then just delete it if it doesn't interest me at the time. So really important.
But talking about Afterglow too, which is another little thing I've just remembered then too. When your guests check out, a little tool that we've suggested to our clients and had in our PowerPoints previously is obviously you need to have a promo code set up for your return guests, which you can set up in your back end of your booking engine as such. But it's really important to get a little business card with that same promo code, whichever it is you decide to offer, and give it to those guests when they check out on a face-to-face value. You know, it's great to do I think emails are great too, but I think face-to-face when possible is going to be
having you stay. Here's a discount to come back and stay with us.
And if it's a little business card size, you know, just your own business card with a stamp on the back, something like that, they can stick it in their wallet or their bag, and it's not going to take up too much room like a flyer or anything, and it's going to fit nicely in the back of their wallet, and I'll go pull it out next time. I can go online and go onto that property's website and I can go direct, no commission, and get that promo code. It might be, you know, 10 or 15% discount with some extra options like late checkouts or some value add package that the special return guest club is entitled to, and I think that's a really good way of doing it as well. We didn't include that slide in this PowerPoint, but I think it's really worth mentioning. And I know it's an old trick, but it's a good trick. It's a good trick.
Yeah,
it works
absolutely.
really well.
And whatever you do it consistently. Don't start an electronic newsletter once a month and then never follow it up. Have it well written. Make sure it's grammatically and no typos, grammatically correct and no typos. If you don't have time to do it, allocate it to a staff member. If you haven't got a staff member to allocate it to, pay a professional to do it. Honestly, for what you pay for that to happen, you will reap the rewards from it. But it's got to be consistent. Don't just do it whenever you feel like it or whenever you've got time, because it just won't happen.
No, yeah. So that's what we've touched on a lot of these with the post-stay triggers, which there's some examples there on this slide for you to have a look at. And you can see there's call to action on each of these examples of these flyers. Keeping your guests up to date, obviously keeping your posts relevant and consistent, as Naomi said, on all your social media platforms is really important.
And remind them what they had and remind them what they're missing out on. That's what your social media is about. So they look at it and go, oh, I want to go back there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You need to lure that guest back to you, So once again, we've done a full circle of starting with the data and then coming back to knowing what that point of difference that you offer and be confident in that point of difference, which is obviously your sale or your special you've got, but it's also your customer service and owning that customer and communicating with that customer once they come through your door. And I think that's, they're sort of basically in a nutshell. There's lots of little bits and pieces, but it's all got to work together. So really, what Naomi and I are saying here is these points we've given you, you've got to have that all working together. You can't just go knee-jerk reactionary a social media post and without a call to action and without that being supported by what's on your own website or what's on your specials page or what you're sending out on your EDMs or your triggers. So I think you've got to have a really concise plan, and each entity within your marketing for your direct guests has to talk to each other. So your platforms for your social media, your EDMs, your specials on your website, your TripAdvisor, everything's got to be consistent and talk to each other. So you've got to give the same message across all your marketing platforms for that direct guest.
And I think another really important thing that people forget when they do their monthly newsletters, tell people what you've done.
Yes.
If you've upgraded something, if you've got new beds, if you've retiled the pool, if you're on the Gold Coast and the council's just done the beaches or put new playgrounds in, tell people. This is your opportunity to go, hey, the little thing you didn't like last time, you're going to love this time.
That's right.
Because we fixed it.
We fixed it. So that's, I think, in a nutshell, that's pretty. If we go to the next slide, that just really rounds off our 5 top tips. So is there anything you want to touch on those, Naomi, about joining? It's really just joining all those together, as I just said.
Absolutely. Joining the dots. But it's about holding on to that customer and making them, it's not even about making them feel special. It's just acknowledging them and, who your customer is, and then they're going to come directly back to you the next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. On to a little special.
Yes. So, we've got, following the COVID government restrictions, we're offering 20% off a discount on the first 2 months of any of our minimum 6-month contract. So just reach out, next slide, to Naomi and I, or myself or both or whatever. Have a look on our website, which is going to be revamped.
We are. Very exciting news. New website. So make sure you have a look at that over the next
wait for a week
7
or so,
to 10 days.
Maybe till it's
maybe
live.
2 weeks. But yes, look out on social media and we'll tell you that it's changed.
Yes, that's right.
So many good valid points. I'm sure everyone's taken quite a bit away from today's webinar, from starting from just making sure that you've got that email, direct email to your guest, the idea of upselling while they're in-house, making sure that, all staff are providing that 100% customer service so that they're, getting that experience and wanting to come back. So, yeah, I think...
Yeah, I think it's all really important, Kelly, because we all get caught up in technology at the moment, and so much of this is not about tech. I guess it encompasses technology, but it's all about that good old-fashioned service.
Yeah.
Exactly. Customer service 101, I think. So if there's anywhere to start there, and
that's right.
Surely there'll be some, benefits from it. So
that's right.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add or anything like that?
Probably talked everyone's ears off.
It's really
all right. Well, we might.
But hello, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it and got some key takeaways with that. And hope to speak to you again soon.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks again, Kim and Naomi from Koncept Konnect. Their contact details are on the screen if anyone would like to reach out to them for more information. Keep an eye out for our next webinar in the REI Master Series, and don't forget to follow our Facebook and YouTube channel to find out more about our REI Master events and developments with our software. Take care and speak soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Speak to you soon. See you later. Bye.